And for those who say this is an international matter, has nothing to do with Brookline, I would argue it is enormously impacting many residents in Brookline. Just look at the room.
Hello, thank you. My name is Hagar Dalshad, and I'm a resident of Brookline. I'm one of the very few Palestinians in Brookline. My father survived the Nakba, and I'm now living a life in which my tax dollars are going to kill potentially my own relatives. I hope that you understand how difficult that is.
I'm a physician and a proud resident of Brookline, and my kids went to the public school, and I love this community, but I honestly have found it very difficult to exist here under the current circumstances.
I'll just conclude by saying that in all the years I've lived in Brookline, I have seen and been a part of my fair share of heated and contentious issues, and as difficult as they have been, I've never seen the kind of threatening and frankly shameful behavior as I have in the past 6 months.
It is a local issue because in this community, people that I have known and broken bread with and hosted their children in my home have stopped speaking to me just because of who I am as an Arab, as a Muslim, as a believer in Palestinian freedom equally to every other freedom. And I wonder then, do they also think that my life is worthless than theirs? Or do they think that in some scenario, my child's life can be shrugged off as collateral damage? And it breaks my heart.
I've seen posters for peace, mourning the death of children defaced and destroyed. I've seen elders harassed by strangers on the train. I've even had a dear friend surrounded and threatened for displaying the Palestinian flag.
But the other point that many people have made, that this is a divisive issue, it's true. It's challenging, and just listening to people speak today has shown how divisive it is, but it is not a splinter. This is an atomic bomb. It's a huge issue, and not just
30 seconds.
Community makes things actually worse. It's more divisive to put our head in the sand and not discuss it. I think this is an issue that we need to discuss as responsible human beings, as humanists, as people who live in this world, and not talking about it is actually will make things worse rather than better, and will be more divisive to this community.
My name is Galit. My family is from Israel. My mother's from Israel. My grandmother's from Israel. My great-grandmother's from Israel. I speak very much in support of the ceasefire resolution. Town hall is the right format for this debate. Town halls have been called the cells of democracy. Towns in Massachusetts and the United States have a very long history of making statements on foreign affairs. It is not true to say that town halls do not speak on foreign affairs. This is a recognized and important way for American citizens to engage with foreign affairs.
Many of the speakers have said that, we didn't have a resolution for Yemen or for other genocides or other wars anywhere else. We were not directly funding them. Our tax dollars, Massachusetts alone, it's $130 million a year that we send to Israel to support this war. So this is not a foreign policy issue. This is a local issue, and we should be addressing it as such.
I remember the church bells ringing in 2003 in Brookline when the invasion of Iraq began, and the resolution against it that passed. I was with a friend from Ireland who was so impressed. It does matter what we do. I was in the room in 2017 when the resolution supporting impeaching Trump passed. Brookline took a stand. Brookline just became the first in the world to ban tobacco sales for those born in this century. And so, no, we can't pass resolutions against every war. But like other towns have done, we can take stands on the issues that do resonate highly.
It is right for the people of Brookline to speak on this issue when their tax dollars are paying for Israeli weapons. These proclamations are a vital way to support Israelis who would face punishment and community retaliation in Israel for their views. I will not center my comfort as a Jew or for a distaste of division over the safety of Palestinians. I strongly disagree that a call for ceasefire puts Jews at risk. I urge Brookline not to hide behind civility and avoiding division instead of doing the right thing. Those who speak against ceasefire don't represent all Jews. Those who say this resolution is divisive don't speak for all Jews or all Israelis. What is divisive is calling for positivity when Gaza faces more civilian casualties than anywhere in 124 years. What is divisive is playing the game of whataboutism when being asked to look at civilian death in Gaza. What is divisive is bombing an area the size of Houston at a rate of bombing comparable to how Laos was bombed in the Vietnam War, aka the area of most bombs ever. I am very proud to stand with those who brought forward this resolution in favor of ceasefire. Thank you.
As an Israeli American, I have dear friends and close family who were affected directly by the October 7th massacre, as well as colleagues and friends who are under incessant attack in Gaza and its environs since. The clear and simple language of humanism and dignity on Warrant 19 speaks for itself. However, I'd like to take the opportunity to provide a name, a face, a soul to these abstract numbers and politics we are talking about today. Earlier this week, injured brothers Anas, age 15, and Asser, age 5, arrived in Boston for medical care. A bombing in Gaza in January caused both boys to sustain severe burns, and Asser lost his leg. That day, the brothers lost their parents, 2 brothers, and 1 sister. They have finally been able to be evacuated to Boston Children's Hospital with the help of gracious organizations and people. And they are now here receiving care, accompanied by their only remaining next of kin, their grandmother. I'm quite sure that not one person in this room believes Anas, Asser, and their family deserve any of this.
This isn't just another conflict somewhere far away. Unfortunately, we, as American taxpayers, are funding this genocide. Our federal government chooses to ignore the majority of Americans who are in favor of a ceasefire and is using our tax money to pay for bombs instead of funding our schools and infrastructure. There are more than 100 towns and cities across the United States that voted for a ceasefire. Actually, the whole world is asking for a ceasefire. The world has had enough watching kids dying every single day. We're asking for a ceasefire, the release of all the hostages. I wonder how would that be divisive to our town?
Yet, these tragedies are being perpetrated in our name daily, multiple times a day. 35,000 Palestinian casualties known by now, a third of them innocent children, all with our taxpayer money and our governmental support. In a normal world, none of this debate would be needed. What is more natural than to call to the end of indiscriminate killing and innocent civilians? What is more legitimate than to call upon our governments to condition military support with upholding human values and adhering to international law? This is the bare minimum we can do. Calling out for the cessation of the horrific attacks on the civilians of Gaza does not take 1 inch away from the mourning and pain of 1,200 Israelis massacred by Hamas on October 7th. Ceasefire is not contradictory to the call for the release of hostages. Our hearts have space and compassion for all human life.
I cannot fathom how we can still be discussing this when more than 33,000 Palestinians have been murdered, others maimed, missing, starving to death, and all of it taking place right before our eyes. This is not only an international and national issue, it is a Massachusetts issue and a local issue that impacts all of us human beings, as well as those of us who pay taxes. Our share in Massachusetts is $478,856,000. For example, we could instead hire at least 2,500 nurses, build about 45,000 housing units, pay for about 32 Head Start slots for children. Are we not a progressive town? Should we not stand on the correct side of history?
I want to ask people in this room a question. If you feel that this warrant article is so ineffective and so not helpful and so useless, why are you fighting it so hard? Why are you in this room?
Quiet.
I want to ask you, for the people who oppose a ceasefire, what do you think would be a number that's enough to stop the war? How many people is enough? Were 1,000 people enough? Were 5,000 people enough? Are 30,000 people enough? How many kids are enough? Would you like to pick how they're killed? Would you like them to be dismembered? Would you like them to be starved? Would you like them to be died after amputations have gone infected? What does it matter as we sit here and nitpick in our incredibly privileged positions? If this is genocide or genocide light, what does it matter? We're nitpicking while people die with our money. The people who wrote and championed this petition are facing harassment and doxing. There's no victory for them. They're not getting any type of political office or clout from doing this. They're doing this just on principle. And they're being attacked every day. So I'm going to come back and ask you to consider that what is dividing us is not this warrant article. What's dividing us is the war and the immoral way that it's being carried out. That is what's dividing us.
Thank you.
I'm not done yet.
Well, I'm sorry, you are done.
Okay, one quick.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I just want to
Wait,
ask you, what will
please,
you do when
please,
you face
I-
your children,
Hajar,
your grandchildren, and
Please,
your
no,
Lord?
I'm sorry.
When
You do
They
not.
ask you, what did you do in this moment? Thank you.